Hello and welcome. I'm going to show you today how to sign up for Microsoft's Developer Movement, which is a chance for you to complete challenges, earn points, and win some prizes. So, a few little details to start. First of all, you have to be a Canadian citizen. You have to have a Canadian mailing address, and if you are over the age of 18, you will be conducting the regular challenges, and if you are between the ages of 13 and 18, you can do the regular challenges as well as the student challenges. So, all of this is to gain points to win some of the amazing rewards, which as of right now, you can win a Surface Pro 3, Xbox One with Kinect, and various other prizes. So, to sign up, you'll want to go to Sign In here at the top of the page. Googling for Developer Movement or using Bing will find you. Searching for Developer Movement or DevMov on Bing or Google or any other search engine will get you to this page. And then when you sign in, all you need is any Microsoft account. And that'll get you in. So, that's how you sign up. You'll start doing your challenges. This month, you can see that we have 4 challenges, which you have until July 15th to submit the results of your challenge. And it's very quick, very easy. So, to get a few simple ones out of the way, the MVA challenge, what you'll need to do is, using the same developer account, you will go to any of these 3 links, watch the video that's present, go to the links, watch the video, go through the slides to have a look at what it is, and then take the assessment, which is a short test on materials that were covered in the video and the slides. Once you've completed that, and you see the 100% complete on the section, then you can take your screenshot and submit. For the web challenge, you'll be using the site scan tool, which, again, click on this link, enter the URL with the HTTP or HTTPS to identify it. Conduct your cert. And make sure this part of the screen is in the screenshot. Take your screenshot, and that is that test. Now, the other challenges this week are an Azure challenge, which we will walk through in a moment, as well as a video studio challenge using Python. So for Python, if you are using Visual Studio 2013, you can go to python.org to download the Python tools. You can find the Python tools here on python.org under the download section, and that'll give you all of your access. So, for the Python project, what you'll want to do is open Visual Studio. For the Python project in Visual Studio, we're going to need to create a Python application that's going to put a haiku on the screen. So to do that, all we're going to do is launch Visual Studio, create a new project, and because we've installed the Python tools, we'll have the ability to create a new Python application. And it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it anything you want. I'm going to call mine DevMove Python June 2015, just so I can keep it straight. If you're using source control, you might want to consider adding it to it. I'm not going to. Now, Python's a very good language because it's very strong. You can do a great deal with it, and it's pretty simple. There's not a lot of syntax to worry about like you will in some other languages. So in this case, for simplicity's sake, I've copied for simplicity's sake, I've copied what the format that we need to have for the haiku. And what we're going to want to do is actually wrap this in a print call. And so that's the format that we need. Now, to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to use, all I've done is held Alt, clicked where I want, and then I'm selecting multiple things across lines, and I'm able to write like this. And if I run this program now, what you'll see is that it just outputs exactly what I have written inside there. So a haiku is a very short poem consisting of 3 lines, being in English typically 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables. I'm just putting those there to remember. So that's 5. So write ing dev mov apps. Now we need a 7-line or 7 syllables. And 5 more. And because you can see that we're getting syntax errors, we're going to have to erase these lines. And we'll just put our names here. Run the app. And there we can see writing dev mov apps can be a great deal of fun. What will your app do? And you'll just want to grab a screenshot of this. I'm going to use MS Paint so you'll grab a screenshot of your app as it's running, and I'm going to run MS Paint to paste it in there. That's just because it's very quick and easy. And there I've got my screenshot ready to be saved and uploaded to Developer Movement. At that point we can close everything, and that's all we'll be doing with Visual Studio today. Our next project is to do the Azure challenge, which we have a good tutorial right here that we're going to be walking through. Now, this tutorial is going to require that we have Node.js installed on our system, and you can find the Node.js materials at nodejs.org. So what you'll also require is an Azure account. So you'll want to log into your Azure portal to make use of those tools. This will require a credit card, but you will not be charged. It is a free account, good for 30 days, and with up to a certain number of credits. So we'll go in, log into the Azure account. So the tutorial is done using the preview portal. You can use the old portal if you're more comfortable with that, but we'll be walking through with the preview portal today just to get used to it. So what we're going to start by doing is creating a new web app. So that we'll find under Web and Mobile. And we're going to create a new web app. Now, all Microsoft web apps on Azure have to have a unique URL, and this is across anybody's accounts. What you'll need to do is keep putting in URLs until you get one that is not used by anybody. So we can see that web app is taken. We're going to try a simple string. And we can see with the little green check mark that everything is good. So, as far as your pricing and everything else, you can take whatever. There's various terms you can use. I would choose the cheapest one. Again, you can see there's a whole lot of options. We're going to go with a free one because we don't need a lot of power for what we're about to build. And I'm going to locate it in East US because it's physically closest to me. I don't need to pin it to my start board either. So, with the service plan, we're either going to want to select or create a new service plan. And I'm just using what I have. So you'll notice that we tried to create by using a existing plan and it didn't work, so we're going to want to create a new app service plan, and we'll call it by a unique name, and this is locally unique to your account. So this will take a minute or two to complete. We notice we're getting a notification to tell us when it's creating. This can take a couple of minutes, but it's usually very quick. So we've created our web app and it's ready to go. So we're going to click on Browse All to see everything that we have. And we'll click on Everything because we want the full list. Now from this All Resources, we can select down by type over here, but this is the one we're going to want, is this Web App 2015 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you'll notice up here that we have the indicator that the app is running. And at this stage, we're going to want to come down here to Deployment. And we're going to be setting up some continuous deployment. So at this point, because we are going to be using a Git repository for our continuous deployment as part of this example, we're going to need to set that up. And so we're going to create a local Git repository. So as we can see, we've created our Git repository as our target. Now in the tutorial, there is a little box they tell you to click on here for deployment credentials. That's not necessarily going to show up for you, as it hasn't for me. So what you'll want to do is on your Essentials drop down, click on All Settings, and from here you'll find Deployment Credentials. And this is where you get the chance to create some usernames and passwords. So you can see I have a username already in place from an old project that I've done. You can name your username anything you want. Make sure you remember your username and password. What I like to do is just copy the username down for later. And we've clicked Save to make sure that everything's taken care of. So, and there we can see the success. That little screen that popped up the dialog was because I tried to close the window before it had saved. And so Now we can close the window properly. So at this point, we're going to need the properties from this Git repository. Now that we've created a username, we will need the Git repository details, specifically the Git URL. So we're going to click on this deployment again, and we'll find the Git URL right here. So let's just copy that. It's been copied, and again, I'm going to just put that into a notepad file just so that I don't have to worry about losing it. Now that we have our Git repository set up on Azure, we're going to need to create an actual Git repository locally. So what I've done is created on my desktop just a folder called Hello World, and in that folder I'm going to be adding a text document which will be called server.js. Now I'm going to edit this in Notepad++, but you can use Notepad if you prefer. And in the tutorial, you're going to find a block of code that you're going to want to create, or copy, sorry. And we're going to paste that into this file. Save it, and we'll close that. So at this point, we're going to need to go into command line. And we're going to want to navigate to that Hello World folder on our desktop. At which point, since we've already installed Node.js, we're going to activate our node server.js. Now with that server running, we're going to go into our browser and just confirm that it is working correctly. Now, because I'm using IE, I'm going to put http:// and that's to avoid causing a web search for localhost. And you can see that it displays Hello World to the screen, which is great. That's exactly what we want to see. So we now know that the server is running locally. At this point, we need to go back to our command line. And what we'll do is we're going to have to push this up to the server. So we're going to start Git. And what we need to do, this is all happening in the Hello World folder still. We're going to have to add all of our files to the registry. So we're going to do git add dot, and all of these commands are in the tutorial, so don't worry about having to remember them. So we've now added everything in, and at this point we now have to commit everything. So what we're going to do is run the git commit command, and the -m is just indicating that we're going to add a commit message to let people know exactly what it is we're doing, and the value of that message is going to be contained within those two quotes. Okay, so that's been pushed up. So what we need to do is we now need to take what we've pushed into our Git repository locally and commit it up to Azure. And that requires a Git remote add. So what this command is saying is we're calling Git, we're going to remote add to Azure, which is a value that we're going to put in that Azure is going to hold the URL value that we add to it. And if you remember, our URL value is saved here. And we're going to push that in. Okay, so that's all ready to go. So what we have done now is we've created an Azure group as part of our Git remote add. And we're going to now push that up. So that's what the push is for. And we need to give it a password for our username, which is the exact same one we put into Azure already. The cursor won't move when you're adding a password into command line, so be sure you're pushing the right letters. Hit enter after we've entered the password, and we can see here that it is working. And everything's working. So what we're going to do is come back into Azure and we're going to browse to this website. And we can see that it's doing Hello World. Now, if you remember, we had to put a special phrase into here. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to edit our notepad again. And you can see here where it says Hello World. So let's go back to... So we can see here where it says Hello World, and to change this, we're going to go into now, if you remember, we have to change the phrase that we are pushing to the screen. So we find Hello World in our server.js file, and we're going to come down and we're going to grab that string that they want us to show. Now, you'll notice this is supposed to be a heart, so we'll have to add in the angle bracket, and we save that. This is, again, it's a local change that we've done, so we're going to go and redo our commits, and there we go. So we've done our add to add the changes. We've then committed those changes, and we're going to push that up to the master. It's going to ask for our password again. Deployment was successful, we can see here. And let's go back to that web page. We'll refresh, and we can see that it's changed. And that's all ready to be pushed up to DevMob. And that takes us through this month's 4 challenges. Thank you all. Bye.